Hey, Writerly Besties, and welcome to the Writing with Anna New podcast, where we talk about all things writing. I am so excited for this episode because we're going to just get straight into it and talk about how to get an idea for a book. Okay, so honestly, I don't think I have a problem with this, but a lot of people seem to kind of have the challenge of actually coming up with an original, really compelling book idea in order to, write about. I low-key, I have so many ideas, and that's why I'm so excited for this podcast. And the reason I have so many ideas is because I gain inspiration from literally everything. So, the first thing I want to get straight into is how to gain inspiration for, one of your book ideas. And these are a few things that you can really just be conscious about, like whenever you get exposed to these sorts of things. And yeah, just like really think about how this can be an inspiration to you. So, the first thing that I get inspired from is literally pictures. I can just go on Pinterest, literally find a really cool Pinterest board, click on a photo, and automatically just have a really cool idea. The book I'm currently working on, which is called Project GS, I actually have a vlog going up very, very soon on my YouTube channel. So if you do want to check that out, definitely stay tuned. However, that whole book is literally just inspired by this one photo. This photo was just like off Pinterest, and it wasn't really like a realistic photo, but more so a sort of animated art style sort of photo. And I love that photo so much, and it just really caught my attention. And I automatically just thought about the characters, I thought about the world, and it's crazy that one small thing can impact into, such a huge story idea, which I'm writing right now. And it's kind of low-key so weird, but if you are inspired by actual like real life photos, that's also a thing you can look at. Or if you like to, just look at photos, or even just like if you're interested in photography also, you probably would have a very good eye for really cool photo ideas. But the next thing I also get inspired from is also movies and books. I think this is kind of like a given. Um, the amount of books I read is crazy. I think if you are a writer, you're just naturally a reader, right? So the books you read, the stories you're kind of exposed to, whether that be from shows you watch, whether that be from movies you love, those all have underlying sort of features. And I can tell you that you're really influenced by these stories whenever you like watch them. And if you don't even realize it, it's kind of weird, but you are literally influenced by these awesome stories. Stories are basically there to influence you, right? So this influence can also be to inspire you. So a lot of the books that really inspire me, for example, in my current work in progresses can include like Cassandra Clare's really cool just like fantasy world and her fantasy elements, and also the way she develops her characters. I also get super inspired by his Dark Materials, which is such a good series. It's so, so good, and it's by Philip Pullman. He is an amazing writer. I'm also heavily inspired by my childhood books, which is low-key kind of cool as well. But like Narnia, the Narnia Chronicles, for example, those just like little mini like fantasy elements when you just think back. And when I really do think about my books and my book ideas, it can get traced back to all these things, whether that be, yeah, my books or photos I've looked at. However, those two are like my main things I really gain inspiration from. So, of course, that was books and also photos. However, a lot of people actually gain other people gain more inspiration from other things, and I can share that with you guys because I really just want to make sure that you guys are just being exposed to so many like different sort of ways of getting inspired. So a lot of people I actually have heard are really inspired by other physical like people and people that they know in real life. So that whether that be like your best friend, maybe your family, just like someone you meet on the street, like a stranger. people are inspired by people. And I guess usually that would inspire either the stories that they tell or experiences they had, or the way that they look, or the way that they behave. That could be inspired by certain characters. And yeah, you can kind of use their sort of aura, I can almost say, to be influenced and to influence your characters that you make in your book. However, that can also apply to your experience you have in your own life. It's kind of like a given. I feel like a lot of writers do this subconsciously, where they just write about characters, especially, but also things that they really relate to and things that they keep like really deep down. And I feel like reading someone else's books, it's almost like a window to the soul, because I've noticed that whenever I come up with an idea, those ideas are very much sparked by some things that have happened in my life, and at least like some sort of element has a corresponding element in my own life. So yeah, you can also be inspired by your own experiences. However, another thing is also songs. Songs are great also for when you're actually writing, but if you want to actually get an idea, if you have a favorite song, for example, it will be really, really cool if you can say that your book was inspired by your favorite song, right? I really like to listen to like classical music too if I'm writing like a really cool like royal fantasy. But yeah, those sorts of things really do inspire ideas and at least give you like some sort of creative juice and like just gets it flowing, you know what I mean? However, it's good to have all of these ideas and at least like little tethers of like ideas and inspiration, but you also should come back to why you want to write that book and why that idea really captured you in the first place. So, when I did look at that photo I was talking about in my current work in progress, I just, there was also a thought whenever I saw that photo. I didn't just say, like, oh, that's a really cool thing. I think I could write like a really cool story and it would just be cool. Like, I don't think a story is enough if it's just written to be cool, right? So what I kind of thought when I saw that photo was it was kind of like a photo of three different friends, and they looked like they were studying in like a really old house. And I just really thought like the main thing of the story, like the main core concept is friendship. And that may seem like a bit, what's the word, like cliche or whatever, and a lot of like other books talk about friendship, but like those really big motifs, like those really big ideas, really are important whenever you start developing your little seed, your little idea, right? If you don't have that overall overarching concept, then you really kind of get lost, and it's really important just to ground yourself whenever you're looking at these photos, whenever you're thinking about experiences in your own life or, watching movies. Really just come back to, okay, I got that idea, but also, okay, that's kind of what I thought about, and that's kind of like the overall theme that kind of surrounded that idea. Some really easy example is you can also, yeah, be inspired by places. I kind of forgot to mention that, but I was actually driving home. It was literally just a normal day. I was driving home, I think from like my university, and I just saw a graveyard. It seems like really weird, but I just came up with an idea about two like a friend, like a basically a romance story, but it takes place in a graveyard. And I came up with my project, which is my manuscript is actually done and I finished my book, right? But I literally just passed that graveyard and came up with a full-on book from that idea, right? But the first thing I kind of thought about driving past that graveyard was that it's going to be a story about death, obviously. And that's kind of, self-explanatory, but that's still a big umbrella term. That's a really big, like, concept, if you get what I'm kind of saying. So if that be like friendship, if that be death, or like death in love, those ideas really do spark, and you just have to be very conscious of them. And I think it's a lot of practice, but I hope you guys know what I'm talking about. So yeah, just keep in mind why you want to tell that story and what's the overall sort of theme of that idea. So I also wanted to talk a little bit more about it's really good, yeah, to have an idea and how to come up with these ideas. It's good to know like how to gain inspiration. But once you do have that idea, um, you gotta also kind of be conscious of the ending. And though this might seem a little bit like, what? Like, I just want to come up with my idea and, just have the initial start to my story. But I really encourage you guys to just kind of sit in this idea for a while. That's why it's really good not to get straight into your book, because a lot of the time I feel like you will burn out. I have had experiences with that where I just have a really good idea and I burn out. Or you can also be another person who just gets it done really quickly, but it's really rare to do that. So I encourage you just to sit with this idea once you have it and once you gain that inspiration. And just let it marinate in your mind. Let it flow and let yourself gain inspiration. Do some brainstorming, but don't start writing, sorry, yet. Because I want you to kind of be conscious of the ending. The ending is just as important as the start, I feel like. So your ideas should also encapsulate your beginning of your story and your ending. And by knowing your idea and your end, you can really just easily fill in the blanks. So by having an end in mind, at least you have a sort of journey, target almost when you do start brainstorming. And that really does help. I know it's not completely necessary, but trust me, it does extremely help you when you're planning, because you can fill in foreshadowing. You can think about plot twists instead of all that kind of coming after. If you get really jump on that train of thinking of that train of thought of the end, you can really make a really good, compelling start to your book. I also did want to give you a little bit of a sort of advice about reading and using other people's ideas to get your own ideas. It's kind of hard because plagiarism is a big thing. Obviously, don't plagiarize. That's kind of a given. However, I want to tell you the biggest piece of advice I've ever given myself is that there are no original ideas, okay? There's no such thing as an original idea. Everything is cliche, it seems. So basically what I mean by that is everything has been done before. Everything has been written. Everything has been thought about. And it's what you kind of take from those little ideas in order to make your own ideas. I kind of think about it as a mirror. If you have all this glass comes from somewhere. It comes from, the sand and the sea. And those little sand pieces have come from the sea. And those are kind of the little tiny weeny pecks of ideas. And as soon as you make your glass, I think glass is made of sand, but as soon as you make your glass, it's all made of all these tiny, really intricate ideas. And either if you have or have not been conscious of your influence of that particular idea or that particular book, it does play a huge part in your mirror that you create. And that reflects a different story every single time. I know it's kind of a really weird little analogy I just made there, but just kind of keep in mind that don't stress that your book is too much like another book or your idea is too much like a movie you watched. It's your own idea, and as you keep going and keep growing that idea, it will be different and it will be unique to you. Just make sure you understand that your ideas are not original. I know it's kind of a bit maybe downgrading or just degrading to think about that, but it's almost a lift off your shoulder, right? Because you're I'm really scared that my book is too much like this book or something like that. And you're no, it's already been done before, plenty of times before you thought of that person, writing that book. Some other people have wrote that same book, years down the line and years before that. So all ideas are unoriginally original, if that kind of makes sense. Sorry, I just kind of went on a tangent there, but yeah, just make sure you know what I know. So yes, once you do have your idea, now it's time for the next step. This is also something similar to kind of keeping the end in mind, and that is to categorize your book. Sorry. So whenever you're kind of having your idea, right, you're brainstorming, you're kind of thinking about it, and this can be like literally a tiny weeny seed. It can be just like an idea. Like let me just think of something. Maybe an idea about a forest that only blooms once a year because it's under a curse. Something really just out there, a really interesting idea, but you love it, right? That's why you kind of kept thinking about it. Something as small as that can really grow into something really big. And of course, by growing it, you get more inspiration. You think about your idea, you think about what sort of characters, what the world building is, all that really like easy explanatory stuff, self-explanatory stuff. But then you categorize it. And what I mean by that is think about the title. Think about the genre you want to kind of categorize your story or your idea as. Think about if it's a standalone, if it could be a series, a trilogy, a duology. Also think about how many chapters, what sort of chapters are there? Is there like character POVs? Also, what sort of way are you telling your story? First person or maybe third person? Maybe second person. I've never written a book that's second person, but that would be so cool. Anyways, also the length of your book, like think about all these different things, and that really just helps you realize that your idea has stopped being an idea and now it's become like it's on the road to becoming a book. By kind of putting those like parameters, I think parameters, I'm sorry, parameters in place. Like I'm totally a writer, okay? I'm totally a writer. I know how to speak. Anyways, you're putting those things in place. So you're kind of being conscious and like telling yourself like, okay, this is a cool idea and I want to commit. I want to commit. So whether that be just like, yeah, a simple idea of that forest, like that's kind of a plot idea, or if you have a simple idea of just like a character. Maybe there's a character who you think about who has trauma, but he keeps reliving that trauma every single year. I don't know why I keep saying every single year, but like it's just a common like curse. For example, I'm just using like something on the top of my head and that's what I came up with. Okay. But yeah, that idea can be either from a character or a plot. Usually that's how it kind of goes. And yeah, as soon as you set up those parameters, then you're able to fully commit to your idea and your book and actually start brainstorming. But yeah, that's a lot I just talked about. I don't know if that all was like chronologically. I cannot speak today. I'm sorry. I don't know if that was like, yeah, a good way to kind of talk about all those things, but my brain is a mess, as it always is. And, you know, writing and coming up with ideas is fun, but sometimes very, very messy. I like this podcast. I like this episode. However, I did want to kind of talk about a bit more about my own ideas and how I personally have come up with some of my ideas, but also like ideas for books and like books in general, like the start of books, but also ideas within those ideas. So like ideas or like plot points within the plot and within a story. Okay, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Okay, so the number one thing I think I can give you, I kind of share this a lot in my videos, but if you do struggle with plotting, like me, I like being a pantser. The biggest thing I like to do to get ideas is think about the setting. This is seriously like, oh my gosh, the biggest thing I can like literally give you guys, the biggest piece of advice to get ideas for your idea for your book is to think about setting. So if you just kind of put yourself in your idea, okay, so if my idea was about the forest that's cursed every single year, if I'm in that fantasy world, I'm thinking about settings and different settings that can be, taken place in that world. So maybe there's a huge oak tree. Inside that oak tree, that's one setting. Maybe there's an underground cave. That's a second setting. Maybe there's a treetop little cabin. That's a third setting. These all different settings help generate ideas. And I'll sorry, I just hiccuped. Sorry. Anyways, I'm literally such a mess. I'm so sorry. Okay, let me just relax. I'm still new to this podcast thing, okay? I'm still new. I'm freaking out. I'm not freaking out. I'm okay. Okay, so yeah, with the setting thing. So when you come up with these random settings, you put them in order, and this can literally be in random order, or just like if you have an idea of what sort of order they can go into, just think about that. So once I have the oak tree. So maybe the story starts in the oak tree, and somehow the characters end up going underground to find something in a cave to, stop the curse. And then maybe they need to go do the spell to lift the curse in the treetops. Do you kind of see the linkage of ideas I kind of did there? I'm not sure if this will help you, but it definitely helps me because I'm just literally so bad at thinking about original actual ideas and actual things for the characters to do, because I know a general idea of where my idea is going, where my book is going, but I don't know how to actually connect the dots. And that is a way to connect the dots. Think about the settings. In regards with getting ideas for characters, however, so we just talked about plot, let's talk a little bit of characters. So characters, I don't know. I feel like I do get inspired by myself, which is kind of weird. It's really interesting. For example, in my current Project BB, I have a character called Robin. Robin I love so much, but she is the complete opposite of me. And I really did think that. I thought, yeah, Robin is nothing like me. She's snarky, she's so sassy, she's very hard-headed, and very slick and very witty. And I'm none of those things, right? I'm dumb, and I'm very very nervous, and well, she kind of is an introvert like me, but there was a lot of different things that really just differentiated her from me. But then I kind of thought a bit deeper, and I think I was listening to another podcast about this, and the people were saying how writers really write characters that they are like. So I was like, wait a second, all the characters I've literally written in all of my books have been nothing like me. But then I thought even deeper. And I thought, is that really true? And then I'm like, no, I think Robin is exactly like me. And it's kind of a weird concept because I am inspired by myself in my own experiences, my own split sort of personalities, and I literally feed them into my characters. And I feel like a lot of you guys can relate to this, but I am literally so much alike to Robin, at least internally. I'm not, you guys probably know me in a different sort of setting. I am being myself, right? But I'm also different in my heart, and I know myself differently from how you know me. And that's why I also kind of really believe that books are the windows to the author's soul, because these characters are are like your babies, are literally you. And it's kind of so weird. So the way that I like to come up with characters and those sorts of experiences, their problems, their weaknesses, their strengths, is me. So when you do read your characters, when you do read my characters, sorry, I hope you kind of see maybe parts of me. And of course, it's a bit of a stretch, things are dramatized, but again, that is the way I like to really get ideas for my characters. But yeah, I kind of covered the plot, I covered the characters, and those two are literally the main key ideas you really put into your story. Wow. I don't even know what I just said. I hope this maybe helped you guys. If it did, definitely just like let me know. I seriously am still kind of thinking about how I should structure these podcasts and how I should talk about things. But low key, when I hear myself talking like right now, I don't understand what I'm saying. I think it's just been a long day for me, a long week, and I'm just ready to just relax. But you guys should be relaxing too, okay? Anyways, I hope you enjoy the podcast. If you did, definitely let me know. Hopefully, yeah, if you can follow me on Spotify, that would be amazing. And yeah, please, please, please let me know ideas of what you want me to talk about in these episodes. Again, I'm so sorry for being very nervous still in my podcast. I'm sorry. I can literally film videos normally and be myself, but like once the camera's there and it's like unedited, it makes me a bit nervous because I'm like, what if I say something weird, or what if I hiccup / burp? I don't know. That's going to be a staple for my upcoming episodes. Anyways, I will stop talking and embarrassing myself, but I hope your projects are going well. I literally love you guys so much, and I hope to see you in my next episode. Bye guys, and as always, keep writing. Bye bye.